Hello and welcome to Two Girls in a Pod. I am Sharon.
I am Christine, and we have a guest with us today, Dana Lambert. We would like to welcome you. She's the CEO of Global Ed
Solutions.
Thank you so much.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
What a name, Global Ed Solutions. What does that mean?
Well, it's a DBA of another organization, and we wanted really for it to ensure that people understand that it's across the globe. We could offer high school diplomas anywhere in the world, and that we're best solutions for people who are looking for alternatives.
Okay.
Oh, nice. So for people out there, that it's basically like an alternative school to conventional education.
Absolutely. Looking for alternatives for those individuals who the brick and mortar traditional system may not be working for them, and they're looking for alternative options that are linked to pathways. We're really about not so much just ensuring you achieve your high school diploma, but obtaining a skill set so that you are employable or you're ready to go to college, whatever that pathway that you're seeking, we're here to afford that to you.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So let's start first off, how did you get into this? Give us a little background on you.
Oh my gosh. So, I've always been interested in education ever since I was a little girl. I was raised on a farm. My grandparents, they had 11 kids, and it was just always kind of this fun, collaborative atmosphere growing up. Everybody had a place, whether it's, you're tending to the animals or to the farm or cooking or whatever that may be. Everybody had a job, and it's collectively working together. How did you attain that goal? So I think moving forward in education, what really attracted me to Global Ed, and as we continue to build it, is the partnerships. We know that the stronger partnerships we have in our communities, the more opportunities we can afford to our students and families. So in our system, it's all about, apprenticeship, internship. What are things that are service learning that we can help support the community and really help build and empower our students with that network of individuals so that once they graduate, they have all those resources at their fingertips to get them to that next level.
So it kind of sounds like with the Global Ed, it's also more about building the character, the emotional intelligence, having those mentors or those people who kind of help you put the path down, or help you build the path to your success.
Absolutely. All of our students, when they first enroll with us, they enroll in a class called My Life. And My Life really does just what you said. Is just to ensure what are those skill sets needed? How do you balance your checkbook? How do you change a tire? How do you put together your resume? What are some career interests based upon your strengths? So they go through this whole process just to ensure that they have those soft skills, so to speak, to ensure that they know what that next step is for them in their journey with their schedule, their classes, things such as that.
How did this get started? I mean, what
Oh gosh.
kind of inspired this, I guess?
I think a lot of this came from our founder had a vision just to ensure as students are moving forward in their educational realm, that what support systems do they need to have in place to be successful? So many of our students maybe lack or just are not afforded the opportunity of a mentor to guide them through those next steps. So within our program, 100% of our students have a life coach or a mentor just to help support their academics, help support, any of their personal skills that they may need assistance with. They do a lot of goal setting with SMART goals. So just to ensure that no matter where you're at in your journey, that you have advocate, a mentor to support you through that and guide you.
Well, I think sometimes too, when we look at sometimes the kiddos who conventional school doesn't work for them, sometimes we find sometimes basic needs are not even being met. So, when we ask these kids to go in and perform, at these high levels of academic, they just can't, because other basic needs are not being met. And sometimes it's even that emotional piece of it. They can have those other, the basic needs met, but they don't have those people who are really encouraging them and pushing, not pushing in a negative way, but really helping to inspire them to be the best version of who they are.
Oh, absolutely. We come across situations to where maybe some of our students have a job of their own. They're supporting their family. They might have children of their own. There might be something going on within their home that's just making it difficult for them to concentrate on academics. So that's where the life coach really comes in, that mentor, to just ensure that those, like you mentioned, the basic needs are being met, and then aligning that to next steps with their academics. So that's real critical. That's our secret sauce that really makes our organization hum and, just ensure our student success is that life coach. They're the heart of our organization to ensure that students' needs are being met. Because as you mentioned, how can you concentrate on math, English, whatever that may be, if you have situations going on at home? Those are priority for our students. And so let's make sure that we can help address them and provide support for them.
I think it's kind of interesting that growing up the way that on a farm, same here.
Good.
Except I have 5 brothers and 5 sisters, so we had it all right there.
Yeah.
But there is something about that. There is something, and I think we talk about that is, worth ethic comes from there, but also the shared responsibilities. And if you can't, you can go ask somebody,
Yeah.
and to be able to transfer this into these other real world and real life situations, and to be able to pay that forward to these kids, to help them see that those connections that we make are so relevant and important to us. But a lot of times they're not making those connections. They're kind of doing, there's more of a distance thing with it. And so how do you bridge that distance? Because a lot of younger ones, a lot of relationships are this way, via an electronic or something.
I think even more so now, post the pandemic, I think that really led to a lot of students feeling isolated, feeling alone, especially as they were confined to their homes and not having a lot of those opportunities to network and outreach with people. So I think that's, you really touched on an important part, is how do you bring them in? How do you have them feel connected and cared for and part of a bigger process? A lot of our students, they want to be part of that big picture. What's out there? What's going on, not only within my hometown, what's going on across the country, what's going on across the globe. So they're very connected thanks to social media in that way. So how do we find purpose and meaning within the pathways that they're aligning to? So I think that's a great point, is where our students are at now post pandemic, and how do we make sure that their social emotional needs are being met because of some of those situations we know they've encountered. And I go back again, it's the pathways that we've created, the mentorship that helps bring students together, those programs that bring people together, and it's just partnerships. One of our ed zones that we have in Pueblo, we've partnered with Workforce Center, we've partnered with a mental health facility, United Way to provide financial security, a broadband initiative. So it's really bringing that community piece together so that when the student walks through the door, it's not just about academics, it's about community. And I'm real proud of what we've been able to create in that stance, for sure, because you see students flourish, you see them working together, and we have near zero behavioral problems. They're there because they want to be there, and they're networking and working with people because that's what they want. And so we really created this beautiful community and partnership through the organization.
How long has this organization been around? And
so I've been with it since 2016.
okay.
So many of us who's still with them today, we've been here for over 7 years, and it's just continued to thrive, not only in Colorado, we're extending out to Florida, to Arizona. We're also a public benefit corporation. So what that means is we really stand in how can we give back to the community? How can we best serve the community with the areas that we've been blessed with? So we've adopted a small school in Panama, and we have many small young students who we've given curriculum to, we've provided laptops to, and just that's our give back to the community. We also offer adult learning. So adults who are looking to obtain their high school diploma, that's one of our give backs, as well as we provide educational opportunities for our parents and families, adult learners, because many times they'll come through and they say, gosh, I wish I had this when I was young. I'm like, it's not too late. You can still come today. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You said you're kind of branching out and stuff. What does that vision look like? I mean, what is it that Global Ed Solutions, how do they want to be seen in 5 or 10 years?
Yeah.
And do they want to be seen?
Oh, we want to be seen for sure. Just as that option, traditional education is not a one size fits all. So we're, looking for alternative options depending on where you're at in your pathway, just that we're an opportunity to consider because, education's been done the same way for hundreds of years. And it's time to change and shift that. And that's what we're here is really to provide an alternative option to those who are seeking it. At one point, it was really those who, maybe, as I mentioned before, they might have a troubled background. They might be, encountering something that they're struggling with. But I'll tell you, anymore moving forward, we see more and more students of different journeys that are looking for alternatives. So it's not really just a one population that they're looking for this. It's pretty much across the board where people are seeking alternatives.
Well, I think, often when I work with kids, one of the things they don't want to be in that structure. It's not conducive to the way in which they learn. And often, why am I learning this? How is this going to help me in my future? Why do I need calculus? Because I wanted to go do this, whatever that is.
I often feel like it's so generalized. So it's really cool because it sounds like a really customized kind of way of learning. That's really cool.
That's what we talk with the team. Our goal is really to ensure that they could see what the means to the end. Am I saying that right? But really seeing that path. So when they're taking courses, they need to know that the classes I'm enrolling in is going to help me to the certification, or is going to help me to if college is their next step, or whatever that next step is. They need to see that. And I think that really inspires and motivates them because they know, hey, when I'm done taking these courses, I'm going to have a certification, whether it's in IT or in the arts, or if it's in manufacturing, whatever that is, that track they're on, they could see that this is going to get them to that end product. And I think that's what really encourages and inspires our students is that they know that what they're doing is meaningful and is going to help give them and elevate them for when they graduate.
What is your feedback from, say, conventional education about your program?
Again, I go pre-COVID or post-COVID, is I think all of us are in an era where we're trying to now better adjust, because before, I don't think many of us saw online as an option. It was it was frowned upon for quite a while. And now we also know that only online isn't always helpful as well. It's got to be kind of a combination of your support units. It's got to be strong support with individuals like we have with the life coach. It's got to be a strong alignment in curriculum and your business partners. So it's multiple things nowadays. And I think the traditional brick and mortar is adjusting as well, because they've saw that after COVID.
Well, I think it's interesting to see, this trend that we see, and like you said, post pandemic is the hybrid version looks, and, we have companies now who are doing hybrid instead. It's like, you don't have to come in all the time, because when you're able to do that hybrid, if you're a parent and have kids, it's so much easier because you have to shift so much of your schedule in order to make something work. This hybrid, whether it's the hybrid schools or the hybrid work environment, it seems like it might be catching on a little bit more. It should be, I think.
Yeah, we see those trends across the country. We're also, YAS's organization who was formed post-COVID in finding school districts, schools, educational entities that are looking for alternatives on how to best outreach to students. So we were one of the semifinalists in 2021. I have to put that. We were one of the top 20 out of 1,200 applications, and it continues to grow. So I'll tell you that the network in the community that has formed, and just seeing the different options that across the country that people have come up with, who are so committed to ensuring that ensuring a student's success. It's just an honor to be part of that initiative. And that's going back to what you said is, as you see more and more people, more in private, public education units looking to do things differently, it's incredible. It's just, I see that more so now than ever.
Oh, I agree. And I think it's something that, it's not good when we have to have a pandemic in order to make change.
Right.
But every once in a while we need that catalyst, to look at what we're doing and looking at what is the effectiveness of it. When you have kids that are dropping out for whatever reason, if they have that alternative, the more alternatives they have, the more choices they have, the more they're going to be apt to be successful in their life.
You see this too with states across the country. So it's ESA or voucher states are popping up to where that provides the parents with the funding mechanism to choose what school they feel is best suited for their child. And I'm so excited about that because now it's no longer, hey, you go to school with whatever entity is within your neighborhood. Now you get to choose what school that you know is going to really best suit your child's needs. That's an exciting endeavor that's just recently popped up over the last 10 years. And you see more and more states adopting that. Colorado, not yet, but they're popping up all over. And I think that's really supporting our parents' choice. Parents have a strong voice at the table on what they know is going to best suit their child's needs. So that's exciting.
Because I think a lot of people don't understand, or each school, they have districts.
Mhm.
This imaginary lines that they just draw, and it's interesting because a parent can live here, on this street, but the school's here, but it's not their district. So then, it's like you have to go and do all this, even though this would be so much easier because this would make life easier. But that's not how districting works sometimes.
Right.
So, the parents stuck with whatever district, or then you have to do a lottery. I mean, there's all these things you have to do in order to change district. But then if your kid's in school and they want to move districts, it's not as easy as people think. Another district has to accept them. There's all this stuff that goes on, unless the kid has misbehavior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then if that school can't handle, then they're going to move them somewhere else. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like it's as conducive to education as we can make it.
It's hard for parents too, because if you have a school district in your neighborhood and a bus is coming by to pick up your child, oftentimes that's going to be the choice you make because and I don't mean, out of convenience, because we're working, many parents are working double jobs, things like that. So to really create, someone to come and pick up your child, bring your child home, if you don't have transportation as an option, that's oftentimes confines a parent to their choices. Colorado is a school choice state, so parents can opt to where they want to send their student, but oftentimes as working families, right, it makes it difficult, which is beautiful with global ed is really whether you come to one of our drop-in centers or you choose to conduct your schooling online, you have that option. So you still have all the options of our pathways, our certifications, our life coaches, our teachers online, our tutoring online. So you still have all that support system if transportation is an issue. So that's what I've always prided ourselves is no matter where you're at, whether you're urban, rural, wherever you're at, you're going to get the same opportunities as anyone. And that's what's really important for us.
So it sounds like the coursework is sort of a hybrid type of thing, so they can do in class or online.
All of our curriculum's online.
Okay.
If you want to come to an ed zone and you need some face-to-face, we have that option as well. But any student of ours has complete access to everything, no matter whether it's face-to-face or online. You can get live tutoring sessions. You can go office hours with your teacher. You can meet with your life coach. So we have multiple layers of support just to ensure every student is successful.
Okay.
And I think that's a good point that you make because, in Colorado, you can choose. And so I've had some parents who get up every morning and drive because they said, we want this type of education for my child. So they'll drive clear across Springs for it. But a lot of them don't have that luxury. So like you said, even though this school might be better for my kid, I don't have the means or, the help or support to make that happen. So I'm going to have you in this school.
Right.
And I think sometimes the school works for a kid. Sometimes, and I don't think it's not a bash on public education by any means. What it is I just think that for so long, we've been using that one box to teach everybody. It really, we see some changes, little changes as we go along, but they're not those big changes that are really looking at, how are kids really learning today?
Mm-hmm.
Are they learning the same way?
Oh, we didn't grow up. I mean, the school that you and I went to is not the school, of what students need now. We didn't have, I'm not speaking for you, but back in my day, we didn't have internet, we didn't have cell phones. And so we really, as an education organization, we need to make sure that we're up with everything new coming down the pipeline because it's our responsibility to ensure that our students have the skill sets to be successful after graduation. So because of everything that I just mentioned, there's no way that the traditional system is going to help support and ensure that student's success. So we're always revolving, always improving, always looking for new and upcoming things. One thing in our onboarding, all of our students enter into this gamified survey. And this game, it's just like, you're playing a video game, will take you through and answer questions surrounding your career paths. And the more you answer, the more it will guide you to certain career paths based upon your interests and your strengths, and you're earning badges along the way. So it's those kind of structures we've got to put in place to open up our students' minds and allow opportunities of jobs that they've never considered, because it's no longer just the jobs within your neighborhood. You can work anywhere from your home and impact anywhere across the globe. So that's what's real important to us, is just to encourage and always ensure that our students know what options are available to them.
So when it comes to getting close to graduation or that, is there something within your program that helps with like directing them as far as job placements and things like that?
Yeah, that survey I was just telling you about will give them a projection and trajectory of all the different jobs that are available to them within that area that they are preparing for. So for example, in manufacturing, maybe that's the path that they're choosing. Then they'll go to the next step and it'll tell them all the organizations that will hire that position. And this is how much you'll make. And this is, these are the kind of degrees or certifications you may need and things like that. So it will give them a strong outline and overview. We have multiple business partners too for internship, apprenticeship opportunities. So students, if they wish, they can have hands-on experiences within that field. So there's multiple layers based upon what the student wants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And, it sounds like part of it is, with the life coach mentors and stuff like that, it really is about that connection to somebody who is maybe not your peer, because we need, it's how do we get guidance from other people? And I think, when we look at teaching, regardless of teachers are that for students, that's their, when they go to school, that's that point of contact for them every day, and so eventually, and I mean, I think all of us can sit back and pick those teachers that really stand out in our mind. And it's because they stand out in our mind because of the connection we made with them, which then I think helps us to continue that pursuit of education.
Absolutely. And think about a teacher who has maybe a classroom with 35 and you have students with multiple levels. One student may be struggling, might be dyslexic and be struggling with reading. You might have a student who's accelerated and is, 2 years past their grade level they're currently sitting in. So the beauty of our program is no matter where you're at, you will be placed in curriculum that's based upon your level. And then we'll continue to build and strengthen from there. That way you're not feeling like you're in a classroom that you're just unable to relate to, or you might feel you're in a classroom being held back. So that what our system really does provide students is to perform at their own level and also to be on that career pathway of their choosing. So it's a new way of education. And I'm just so excited about providing those opportunities kids because they deserve it. They deserve to see and be inspired about what's ahead of them.
Can anybody participate anywhere in this program?
Absolutely. So not only so we're funded in the state of Colorado. We're also voucher funded in Florida and Arizona, but we also have a private pay. So if you're not in the states that we're currently in, then you can, enroll into our private pay program. So there's those options as well. Of course, most parents, you want to be able to tap into some of the public funding because many of us have the means to do so. So that's always what we'll try and ensure is there scholarships available? Are we in states where we can help tap into some of those state or federal funds to help support the program? But if we're not, we still have a private pay option as well.
So how is Florida or Arizona different than you here in Springs?
So Florida and Arizona are completely, they're through the voucher system. So within those states, parents can opt, it's called an ESA, and the funds will follow their student. So the parent can select what school they send their student to, and then they pay that school. So they'll identify the school and the state will pay the school. So it's a different mechanism. In the state of Colorado. The funds go to the district or they'll go to a charter school, and then that's how it's funded. So it's a different concept. I think in Florida, it's been around over 10 years, and then other states are popping up and doing the same thing. So it's parent choice, which is a pretty beautiful thing.
With your students, how much parent involvement do they have? And also, does your school provide like extracurricular activities for them, whether it be sports or academic or whatever those are?
Right. Oh gosh. Yes. And one of our, probably the program that the students are most drawn to at our drop-in centers is our global sports. So students could go there. We have students who are Division I focused to really get workout sport specific. And we have students who are wanting to just looking to get fit and wellness. So depending on where they're at, they can go into our Ed Zone drop-in and they'll have workouts specifically tailored to their needs. That's probably one of our most sought out.
Oh, wow.
But we have others. We have life skills. We have leadership programs. So depending on what you'd like to do face to face, you could participate kind of like an extracurricular, activity program with your peers, because we know that's really where we want to bring them. We want them in our drop-in centers. We want them surrounding by their peers and working on projects that are very tailored to their needs. Next year, we're opening in a tech hub program. So students could come in and they will refurbish technology. And we work with the Workforce Center to give the technology back to low-income families. So at a very low rate, like $10 a laptop, then our students will refurbish them. And then we work with the Workforce Center to give them to those who are in need. So that's a new one of our programs that's launching August 2024.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds like this really is such a collaborative effort, and it's about paying it forward because you're kind of taking a little bit, but you're giving it back in another way. We see that concept too in public schools, they do a lot of that kind of stuff as well, but it's so different because your population is so much smaller.
Mhm.
Is everybody accepted into this program, or is there sometimes where you say, no, can't do you? No.
Everybody. No, everybody is accepted. Anybody who comes in and can enroll. There's certain time periods that make it a little more difficult. So say, for example, if a student comes in November, we'd like them to finish up with their school district so that at least they get that semester's credits, and then we'll bring them in January. So it's more of a time period,
Okay.
a reason why we may or may not enroll, but everybody's welcome. And we do a lot of community connection, family connection events, because we want our parents on site. We want our parents to understand the curriculum, to understand the expectations, so that, should something come up and a student is saying, oh, I don't even have any homework today, literally the parent knows how to check and knows, what resources that they can really help support their child. So we also do, not only can they see that live time, how their child's performing, but we do weekly grade checks too. So those are emailed to our parents every week. So there's a lot of layers that we want to ensure our parents understand so that they can be an advocate and they know the pathways and they can really help support their child through the system as well.
I would think it would be a pretty rewarding thing for teachers working in this kind of environment because they're getting to work with students on things that they actually want to learn about. Do you get feedback about that?
Our teachers, we've had over 20 teachers for the last 6-7 years. And I think we've had maybe one transition or so. So our teachers stay with us. Our teachers love what they're doing. They love our students. To your point, that it's because they're empowered to teach what they want to teach. And I think that it's in a way that they don't feel confined to what the expectations in another system may be. So it's very freeing, I think, for a lot of our teachers.
Okay.
Cool. It's interesting because I've had students over the years and sometimes troubled. Well, that's what I do. But I think what's interesting is sometimes their frustration is, why am I doing all this stuff when I already know the information? Can't I just tell the teacher? Or can't I just take it? And it's like, so a lot of it is boredom too. You know what I mean? They're just not being challenged intellectually. And so how do you guys do that? And is it because it's so individualized that you're actually meeting them at their level? Or is it that you're seeing potential and you say, no, you can do better? I mean, Or is it a combination maybe of both?
A combination, our curriculum's asynchronous. So a lot of our students, depending on where they're at, they could test in or out. So if our student is accelerating, we pre and post test them, and that way they are within the curriculum of the area they need to be in. They're not repeating stuff they already know. And then you have students who maybe they do need some of that remedial work or refresher, so that will help them as well. So I think that's a large component. Many of our students, like you said, why am I going through this unit of study? I did this last year. Why do I need to repeat it? So that kind of thing, that we eliminate.
Oh.
So that doesn't exist.
I needed this school.
Right? That doesn't exist at our school. If you're ready to move on, we move you on. Another course or career pathway we call is our workforce readiness. So it's our students who are very over age, undercredited. They may have dropped out of school and they're ready to come back. That's a comprehensive curriculum to where they can complete their high school diploma within 12 to 18 months. Now it's all comprehensive based. It's all based on ACT standards. So when you finish that you do have that skill set to be workforce ready. And that's a very popular pathway for many of our students as well who have dropped out, maybe for a year or so, 2, 3, and they come back to us.
What is your age group?
Yeah. It's interesting because a lot of our high schools have a very high 9th, 10th grade, and then it seems to kind of tailor off 11th and 12th. We're just the opposite. So we have more a lower 9th, 10th, and a higher junior, senior, because a lot of our students could be 19, 20, 18 right there, who are coming back to us. Once you're 21, the state no longer pays for your education, for your K-12 education anyway. So we can accept students all the way, up to 20.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
But we have middle schoolers. I'll tell you, that's one of another growing population is our 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So that population's starting to grow as well. That's why I said it's not like what you would anticipate. I think a lot of students are just seeking out alternatives. So that population's growing as well.
Do you find that, and I don't know how you guys track the numbers, I would imagine you would, because you're, looking at dropout rates and then looking at what your comparison is to public school, but a lot of the public school, those kids that are dropping out may be going to these alternative schools anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So do we see a decrease in the dropout rate, or have you guys paid much attention to it?
Across the state, I should know this off the top of my head. And it seemed like I was reading it like a week ago. And I can't tell you, I don't want to give you information that's not accurate.
Okay.
I know post-COVID, there was many students who did not return to school, millions across the country. So I know that the return rate has completely been on the decline. And that's what.
Do you think, though, that some of that decline was that some of those students were actually excelling at online and then the thought of going back? Because I've had that too, where they're like, I don't want to go back into the classroom. I really got to where I liked doing this online. I don't feel like I need that. But they were told you got to come back to school. And I had someone say, I don't want to do that. Why can't I just stay here and do what I'm doing?
And that's why I accept when you said, Dana, will you come and talk? I said, absolutely. Because the more we could get the word out that, hey, there's options.
Yeah.
There's alternative options available to you. Please look us up. Please, contact us, because we don't want to see that happen to anybody that feels stuck. I don't have options and I'm stuck. And so you do have options, and please contact us, because we have a plethora of activities from middle school all the way through adulthood, depending on where you're at in your life. We want to be there to help you.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like what we have seen is an increase in mental health issues among our youth, which I think, when you have a mental health issue, it's going to greatly impact all areas of your life, and education being one of those areas. And a lot of them, whether it was anxiety provoking for them to go back into classrooms. And I'm always there. I'd rather have an alternative than just not going back because the anxiety is higher, whatever that is. To have those alternatives, I think, is really important for those kids who are struggling.
Absolutely. That's something that, I mentioned earlier at one of our Pueblo locations is to have our mental health partner there on site. But not only, is on site an option, it's also there's virtual options that, students who don't come into our drop-in centers and do need that extra support. I think that's critical. And that's why that's why we selected to have a mental health provider on site, because we see that. And COVID created a lot of anxiety, isolation, depression. So we want to be sure that we can equip our students with the skill sets to be successful, because if you're depressed, you're not going to want to get into your classroom and work on your curriculum. So what can we do to help support you with some tools to get past that, to feel healthier, and then, and see, hey, there's more out there than what I'm feeling and experiencing right now.
I think when I worked in the San Luis Valley, we started community mental health down there, mental health clinician in all of the schools.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. And it was interesting because the school I was in predominantly, I had my office there. So if anything happened, these kids had this access was so much more convenient for them.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't do it after school, pulling, you could then see what classes. It just made it so much, that relationship building and being able to have access, I think, was such a huge thing. It's such a positive thing as well.
Absolutely. When our students are onboarded, we provide them an overview of all the resources that are afforded to them. And interesting enough, we do this also with our staff, because, we talk a lot about the students and what they endured through this time, but, adults, had struggles of their own. So we make sure that we work with our staff, should they have any struggles, and also how do they work with parents who might be experiencing some struggles. So we try to do it very holistically. For the reason that you said, is we see this across the board as a need. And so we do what we can to ensure that we're addressing that in order to move successful collaboratively and give everybody the tool sets they need.
What is your hope for this organization? What do you envision it as in the next 5 years?
I envision education looking differently. I envision education working collaboratively with our community, working collaboratively with our business partners, and working globally. What is our purpose, and how do we best serve our communities and our country and across the globe? So equipping our students with those skill sets to be universal in that sense is, I feel critical. I feel this growing not only in our own community, but across the country and across the globe, because I believe people are looking for alternative options. They want to be meaningful. They want to be innovative. They want to be purposeful. And I think we have the tools, the structures in place to do so, not only for our students, but for our families and our communities. So very proud of what we built. And I continue to see this networking, hence the net, across all areas that we outreach to.
Awesome. Why Panama? Just out of curiosity.
So they reached out to us, and just said, hey, we have this need. When we first started, we had 10 kids. It was just small. We're like, you know what? We want to give back. They reached out to us, right? All they can do is tell you no. So ask. And they asked, and we said yes. And so we said, it's a small area. It's a very impoverished area. Let's help them. And so we sent computers, we paid for curriculum, we paid for teachers online, and it's grown. Now we have 50 students in the last 3 years. So the small community is growing. And I mean, what an honor to have such a positive impact to an area who just didn't have those resources. Right. And we want to continue to do things like that, because that inspires us to continue to do better in the areas that we work in.
Well, and I think anytime any group, country, state, or anybody would come to somebody and say, we really want this, because, they're saying we want to invest in our youth. We want to invest in these kids.
Mm-hmm. It's important. And it sounds like a really great program and a perfect option for people that, want to see how their education applies to the real world. I think that's really a benefit.
Well, and it helped us because we always were like, gosh, will this work anywhere? You know, we do this, but it's always been within our communities. We could go visit them. We could drive, you know, I could drive to Grand Junction. I could see it. But this was a good pilot for us. Like, will this really work anywhere, anytime? And yeah, it does. It does. And we've been successful in it.
So you talked about Pueblo being, that's your home base.
Hub. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What towns are you in or cities, or what is it for Colorado?
So our biggest population's in Pueblo, but we have students in Springs, Greeley, San Luis Valley, Grand Junction, Canyon City. Did I say Colorado Springs, Denver? There's locations all across Colorado, north, south, east, west.
Yeah. Okay. Now, on these places, do they also have drop-in centers, or is that just Pueblo?
We have drop-in centers in those locations as well.
Okay.
So as soon as a location grows to 75 students, that's when we get a facility. And our main purpose with our facilities is we want to network with somebody. So creating our own community resource center, because it doesn't make sense for us to do this alone. We want to bring partners and work collaboratively with our partners in those areas.
Oh, nice.
So if we were to go into one of those centers, what does it look like? I mean, are they large? Are they small? Are they?
It kind of depends. We like to have it nice and kind of a Starbucks feel. So we like couches. We have food, beverages for the students. They could come in, they could sit on a couch, they can sit on a collaborative table. There's weights, there's wrestling mounts, there's a batting cage. Our leadership will have a collaborative table. The IT room will have, a storage of units of things that they could tap into to rebuild things. So it's very interactive depending on what you want to do when you're there. It does not look like school. It's got its Starbucks
fun.
feel. Yeah. And we want people. I said, when you walk into an area, you should feel inspired, right? You should feel inspired like, hey, this is where I belong. I could really, let my guard down. I know people are going to love and care for me here. And I could play. I could work online. And so that's really the environment that you enter into.
Nice.
Well, see, I already had a visual.
What was your visual?
It was, you said
Was
this
it that?
thing. And well, I pictured it having that kind of not homey, but like Starbucks would be a really good, comfortable. Thank you. Kind of comfortable and inviting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did,
it's
but I
safe.
did picture the batting cage. That was really cool.
That is cool.
Right. Yeah.
We
And
just
an
wanna go use the batting.
oscillator.
Yeah, we don't care
It
about
depends what zone you go to. So we have different equipment based on where you're going. I think that's what's real attractive to our parents too. When they go in, they're like, wait, this is the, many of our parents didn't have a successful experience for school themselves. And so when they go in, they're like, gosh, had I had a place like this, I would have come to school. So it's, it provides options on multiple levels for our kids and families.
And because we're located in Colorado Springs, we have different listeners in Springs, where would that location be for?
Oh my gosh, on North Park. So if you go to globaled.one
Okay.
and it says enroll now, 4 questions, and it will just fill out information. We'll contact you and we'll give you a tour of the facility. You can meet your life coach and see if it's a good fit for you. So absolutely go to our website, click enroll today, and you don't have to fill out the whole enrollment process. It just gives you your name, your address, your phone number. So we can contact you. We could send you newsletters if you want, and just to learn more about us. And then should you want to go on a tour, you can definitely do that as well.
Nice.
So I think that would be something that would be fun. And I think that, I think that especially if parents, because I think parents struggle with getting their kids to school sometimes, and they want their kids to be successful. But, when they're having so much of this fight in the morning, you got to go to school, I don't want to go to school. I don't like the school. I don't love, and this fighting goes on. I'm grateful to have another alternative for them.
And that's the beauty of online, because maybe if you're not an early riser, many of our teenagers aren't, then maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock is when you start your curriculum. So we pace our students based upon completion that week. If you want to, work on your academics from 1 to 5 or whatever that may be, whatever fits if you want to work on the weekends, for many of our students who are employed. So your life coach will set that schedule for you to ensure you're pacing the way you should to complete that semester. And so that's really the role of the life coach. We have multiple dashboards for all of my employees that are listening. We talk dashboards constantly. So we're looking at the dashboards, making sure all of our students are on track. If they're not, that life coach is going to be in touch with you or interventionists and ed zone managers. So there's multiple layers of support for just that reason you said.
Well, it's interesting because it's not just support, but it really is helping with that accountability, because I think sometimes kids will sit there and say, well, the teacher's not going to put it in, so we're not going to know, or no, I did that, Dad and Mom.
Right. Yeah.
Do I hear that often? What do you mean? You're 15 Simons behind. What did you
Right.
find out? So it's a lot about accountability. And I think that's that buy-in to if you're going to have that buy-in to your own education, there has to be some accountability on the student's part as well. As the life coach or mentor or whatever, then my responsibility becomes, I'll be present for you and everything, but then you've got to meet me there. And then, so that's developing the relationship, but it's also that accountability. I think that's really important, that sometimes I don't know if it's not lacking. It's just maybe not as present as it should be.
Right. And not to scare anybody away, but our life coaches and our interventionists will also make home visits. So if we have a student who's MIA, well, we do a conference on call. It's called, we go through different tiers. It's called Every Opportunity to Succeed. So tier 1, there's certain warnings. Tier 2, there's certain warnings. By the time you're tier 3, our life coach and interventionist will be at your home and just saying, hey, what can we do to support you? Maybe they've lost their electricity, or, there could multiple reasons why they may not be logging in, but our staff will come to you to ensure that whatever those needs are, that we can help support you. So it's very, very caring way to help ensure our student success.
Wow. Just listening to a very impressive program.
Thank you.
I worked with the education department for my whole career because I've been in schools as mental health, and seeing that we're providing more opportunity for the success of individuals, I think is paramount, because they're going to be this future, and we better be helping them be successful.
Yes.
They're going to be the ones taking care of all of us when we're old.
That's right. And we have an amazing team. Let me just end by that. Our team, from our life coaches to administration, you will find people who care and love and are committed to ensuring our students' success, and also inspired and innovative to make sure that we're also building and always growing to ensure they're ready for those paths in careers or college, whatever that journey is. So you'll find a beautiful team of people who are committed.
Well,
Awesome.
that is actually a beautiful way to end this,
Yeah.
because it is, we are so grateful for you coming on, because
Yeah.
once again, one of the goals of our podcast is really to those connections that we make. And for each individual, each individual has their personal story, their journey, and being able to let people know that journey doesn't end. There are always alternatives, and we all take different paths, and it's okay. Make it your journey, take ownership of it, and be as successful as you possibly can. That's been our focus of this podcast, to really encourage that, in all individuals. And we don't care what your path is. If it is your true, authentic path, do it. We encourage it, we support it, and this fits right along with that philosophy that we have anyway.
Yeah, we love that this program can help them find that.
Authentic piece of
Yeah.
themselves. Because I think we get lost in there, there's just so much going on.
There is. And thank you both for all the amazing work that you do and just opening up this line of communication. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And you can always find us on
girlsinapod.com, or you can also go to Adventures of Two Girls in a Pod, Life's Journey. We are also on Facebook and
Instagram and your podcast, and, subscribe, like, all those others, follow, I don't know, just whatever one does, to add that support to us. We greatly appreciate it. And we look forward to being back next week. And as always, have a great week. And thank you so much for listening.
thank you.
Thank you.